Hi, and welcome to this section of the elementary and middle school math tutor. And in this section of the course, we're going to bring up the subject of multiplication, okay? A lot of students have trouble at first when the topic of multiplication is brought up because it just seems weird. It doesn't really make sense at first what they're trying to do, okay? Well, I'm going to explain it to you here and hopefully you'll understand, and I think that you will, okay? The big picture is multiplication is a shortcut for addition. Okay, that's what I really want you to remember. You can add up as many numbers as you want, and you can count and count and count, and it all works, okay? But when you're dealing with really big numbers, it can be tough to write them all down and to add them all up, okay? It just takes a long time. So they invented this thing called multiplication I'm going to talk to you about a little bit, and basically you're going to have to remember some things. You're going to have to remember your multiplication tables, okay? But I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to build upon that to multiply any two numbers of any size, okay? Now this section of the class is not going to have too many problems in it. It's going to be more of a description of what multiplication is, but as far as like what exactly does it mean, and then as you get into the sections that follow this section here, you'll get into some more of the problems, okay? So the first thing that I want to kind of write on the board is the following, okay? Multiplication, okay, is a shortcut for addition. That's exactly what I told you a minute ago. It's a shortcut for addition, okay? And what do I mean by that, okay? Let's say you have, let's use a different color. I'm in the mood for blue right now, so let's do that, okay? Let's say you had two balls, okay? You had two balls, and I'm going to add to it to two more balls, okay? And I'm going to add to it two more balls, okay? So you already know how to add this stuff up, okay? You already know how to add this stuff up because what you have here is you have two balls here, okay? And you have two balls here, and you have two balls here. So if I were just going to ask you, how would you add these together? What would be the answer? Well, then you would say, well, that's simple. That's just 6, right? Because you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can do that, no problem. And you got the answer. Write it on your test, you're done, right? Well, that's true, okay? But let me show you what multiplication is, and let me show you why it's the same thing as what we've done here. Here we have some addition. We got the answer of 6. So remember that, okay? Now, what I've done is I have a group of 2 here, okay? And I have 3 groups of 2, okay? The way I've drawn it on the board is I've got, in each group, okay, I've got 2 things, right? But I've got 3 groups of 2. 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups. So I've got 3 groups total, and in each group I have 2 things, okay? So the way that you write this down in multiplication, okay, is you say, okay, 3 times 2. Okay, that's what you say. You put a big X here, and that just means 3 times 2. Okay, what it's telling you is you have, and the first number is how many groups you have. In this case, 3 groups. The second number is how many numbers in each group, how many things in each group. These could be pencils or pens or apples or whatever, but I have them grouped like this. So 3 times 2, and you already know that the answer is 6. Okay, you already know that the answer is 6 because we already told you that. You already counted that this is, when you add up all the stuff, you get 6. So you see that multiplication is the same thing as addition. And congratulations, by the way, you've just learned your first multiplication. 3 times 2 is 6, okay? Now, anytime you see multiplication like this, you can draw it out and you can add it up and you can figure out the answer. But it turns out that any 2 numbers can be multiplied together. You could have 5 times 7. You could have 6 times 5. You could have 7 times 10. And there's just so many different ways you can do it, okay? And you could draw it out for each and every time, okay? But what you're going to end up having to do is memorize them. You're going to have to just remember them. And after a while, you will remember, I promise you, that 3 times 2 is 6. You'll just remember that, okay? So what I'm going to do to drill this in a little bit, what this means is this is 3 groups of 2 things, okay? 3 groups of 2 things, and that's why it's 3 times 2, okay? Now let me show you one more thing under here. I'm going to leave all this on the board, let me show you one more thing. Now let me do things a little bit different, and let me draw it like this. What if I have 1 circle, 2 circle, 3 circle, and I'm going to add to it 3 more circles, okay? Now, it's the same number of circles in both cases, okay? But what I have here is, I have 3 circles, okay? And I have 2 groups, okay? So what this would be, okay, instead of 3 times 2, this is going to be 2 times 3, okay? 2 times 3. 2 groups, 3 things in each group. And you already know that the answer is going to be 6, because you can just look at the board and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So what I'm trying to point out to you here, okay, by drawing on the board and showing you 2 different examples, this is 3 groups of 2 things in each group, and this is 2 groups with 3 things in each group. Okay? Here you have 3 times 2 is 6. Here you have 2 times 3 is 6. And that's going to be true in any multiplication problem. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, 2 times 3 is 6. You can flip the order around and it doesn't matter. You're going to get the same answer, and that's kind of cool, right? I mean, you only have to remember one of them and you automatically know what the other one is, okay? 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6. So if you remember, as you study your multiplication tables, okay, that 5 times 4 is 20, okay, then you automatically know, since 5 times 4 is 20, that 4 times 5 is also 20. The backwards one is true, okay? If you happen to know that 2 times 4 is 8, okay, because you know that from multiplication tables, let's say 2 times 4 is 8, then you automatically know that 4 times 2 is also 8. Because anytime you have multiplication, you can flip the order around, okay, and you're going to get the same answer, okay? It's just the way it works, which means it's really easy because if you know one of these things, if you flip it around, you automatically know what the other one is. Okay, so what we're going to do next is I'm going to show you another example of this, okay? I'm going to show you another example of what multiplication really is. And you can see that what we have done here is, all we've done is we've created a shortcut for addition. That's all it is. And you basically just have to remember them, okay? What if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 balls, okay? And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, another 5 balls, okay? Well, right here I know I have 5 balls, okay? And here I know I have 2 groups, okay? Okay, and you know that if you're going to add these together, you're going to get 10. Because you have 5 here and you have 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. You can add them up, no problem. But what this is telling you, what multiplication really is, okay, is it's telling you that when you group it like this, 5 times 2, okay, is 10. And it's also telling you that 2 times 5 is 10. Just like we said before, anytime you have multiplication, you can flip them around and you get the same answer. So this is how they create those multiplication tables that I know that you've seen. Okay, this is how they create them. They go and they take the first number and the second number and they group them up and they add it together, and that's how you get the number. So 6 times 4 is 24, for instance, okay? You know, 5 times 6 is 30, things like that, okay? They do it by taking and drawing things out and counting. Now, it's a real pain to add those things up all the time. So what you're going to have to do is just remember them and study your multiplication tables, and you'll remember them, and then you'll know how to multiply. Okay? Let's do a couple more so you get the hang of this. So you see, just to understand what multiplication is, okay? What if you had a problem like 1 times 6, okay? Well, what does that mean? Okay, that means one group with 6 things in each group. So what I'm going to have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I have one group, and in that one group, I have 6 things in that group. So 1 times 6 is 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 times 6 is 6, and you'll just get the hang of that from your multiplication tables. Anything times 1 is itself. So 1 times 7 is 7, okay? 1 times 8 is 8, okay? 1 times 374 is 374. Anything times 1 is just itself. 1 times 2 is equal to 2, okay? And that's just because you have one group with two things in that group. So when you add them up, you just get 2. So I'm teaching you here, based on what multiplication is, that anything multiplied by 1 is just going to be itself. Okay, and that's something really useful because, you know, now you've already learned your first multiplication table, the ones multiplication table. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 59 is 59, it just goes like that. So anything times 1 just becomes itself, okay? That makes things really, really cool and really go nicely and help you remember things. Okay, next thing I want to talk to you about is when you multiply something times 0. 0 times 7. What does this mean? This means you have 0 groups of 7. Now think about this for a second. What I'm saying is, in each group, I have 7 things, okay? But I'm multiplying by 0, so that means I don't have any groups, okay? Anything times 0 is 0, because I have 7 things in a group. But this is telling me I have no groups, none, zilcho, nothing in front of me, okay? So anything times 0 is 0, because this 0 cuts it down. Anything times 0 is 0, okay? So 0 times 1 is 0. 0 times 7, well, we've already said that. 0 times 8 is 0. 0 times 54 is 0. Anything times 0 is 0, and that's exactly why, because you have this many units in a group, but you don't have any groups. And so when you add those up, you don't get anything, okay? So that's about all I really want to cover in this section. Just remember that multiplication is a shortcut for addition. That's all it is. It's not that hard. And what you have is 2 numbers involved in every multiplication problem. The first number times the second. One of those numbers tells you how many groups of something you have, and the other number tells you how many things you have in each group, okay? And so you could just write all those out and count them up, but what you're going to end up having to do is memorize these multiplication tables, okay, which, you know, can be a challenge, but we're going to help you through that, and you can go from there and you can start to work more challenging multiplication problems once you know your multiplication tables.